So, what is going on with the polls in the federal election? And while we could look at individual polls, I'm going to focus on the CBC News poll tracker that aggregates all the major polling companies and gives us a view that is based on all the polls averaged together. In this regard, the Liberals lead the Conservatives according to the average by 0.6%. We have the Liberals at 37.8% and the Conservatives at 37.2%. The NDP are at a low of 11.4 and the Bloc is at 6.4, 3.6 for the Green, 2.2 for the PPC. The People's Party of Canada, I believe that's the name. Now, many have been skeptical, many have been questioning why has the polls changed so fervently, and how is it possible that just because Mark Carney came in, um, the polls so suddenly changed from a conservative knockout to a liberal win. And if we look at the supposed averaging of seat projections, liberals are supposedly somehow projected to win a majority. I'm going to say right now, this seems very, very, very suspect to me. I'm going to assume that despite these poll numbers, the way these polling companies sample the supposed what you can call sample populations, I feel is unfair because we don't know how they pick, who they pick, and where they're doing these polls, except that there's online registrations that you can register for. I guess you put in basic details, and then they target specifically a narrative they're trying to fit, and they choose people that are within that narrative. And right now, Carney is in, so they're trying to fulfill the narrative that Carney is a game-changing liberal. Justin Trudeau was too unpopular to justify to keep so high in the polls. But when we have Carney in it, we can go ahead and say, yes, we have a guy we can put in there. And it seems to me that this is a trend with some polls more so than it is with others. If we see this line here, this is supposed to be an average. So how come it goes from here to all the way up here in like a matter of weeks? Yes, we can say the Trump response, maybe so, but otherwise, how is it that close? Did the conservatives do something that bad to bring themselves down in the polls? No, I don't believe so. Here's the polling numbers from other companies and all the companies combined together. It shows most of the polls now put conservatives and liberals neck and neck. But there are some outliers here which actually show an unreasonably high number for the liberals. We have this company here called Ecos Research. Ecos Research puts the liberals 50 points to 32 points against the conservatives 32. How is that possible? The liberals are not that popular that you can see their numbers go exponentially high. These polls have to be biased in some sort of perspective to show such a stark change. I'm not saying that polls can't change. I'm not saying that polls don't just magically, can't just change numbers because of different leaders. I'm saying in this manner, how have they changed so drastically? I know some of you might say the conservatives were leading. Why didn't you say anything back then? Well, because it was obvious why the conservatives were leading, because of Justin Trudeau. But now, just because Mark Carney is in and the Liberals have been reinvigorated, does it mean all of the voting population is now all of a sudden a Carney fan, despite him only being really known in the Canadian public for a month? I am very skeptical of that. I am going to be honest. And you might say that you're just trying to reconcile for the conservative side, maybe a little bit. But in the grand scheme of things, looking at the numbers, one cannot be not skeptical about what's going on here. We always know that polling companies are notorious for being inaccurate, and it's obvious what I mean, why I can say this is because of the United States, where the polling numbers have always shown different results from what actually happened in the election. So it really doesn't count what these numbers say until the actual day of the vote or the voting period. That's why I say to any conservatives or even liberals who are watching this, please do not get encouraged or discouraged to vote. Please vote as you would have before you learned about numbers like these. It is very important to emphasize your democratic right to vote. It is a privilege in Canada that we have these numbers, that we have these, you know, opportunities to go out there and select the leaders. And it's your fault, or it's your for your own good, whoever you vote into office. You can't complain afterwards that we didn't do or we didn't choose the right leaders. If you're very vocal and you're very adamant about having one leader over the other, you should vote. If you're out here also voting and splitting the vote, I could say this for the Liberals and the New Democrats, but I can also say this for the Conservatives and People's Party. If you're out here voting for Maxime Bernier, the sore loser who left the Conservative Party because he wasn't selected leader, then you just screwed your own vote and you screwed over the rest of the right in Canada. You essentially assured another Liberal victory, and we're going to have another Liberal government for 14 years. And that's just my opinion. I'm not fond of the Liberals. I'm not fond of how they ran things the last 10 years. And despite Mark Carney being in office, I feel that the old establishment, the old guard of the Liberal Party is still ever present, even after Justin Trudeau and Mark Carney um, is in, and after Justin Trudeau left. I still feel that the old guard of the Liberal Party is present. They're still strong, and they still have an agenda that they want to push. I don't want to see another repeat of what we've seen in the past decade to happen again for the next 4 years. And then people come back and cry how it was so bad under Justin Trudeau and how we should have never elected him, but do it with Mark Carney, saying, oh, how bad it is under Mark Carney. And then we should have elected Pierre Poilievre or the Conservative Party. How about you give change a chance? How about you move yourself out of the propaganda and critical bubbles that you keep yourselves in and use some critical thinking and think, if we keep giving power to the same people, will they actually act in the best interests of the people, or will they, like they have, or will they get arrogant and self-centered and obnoxious in the way they lead? That's what the Liberals do. That's what they have been doing. Mark Carney's own advisors right now are the same advisors under Justin Trudeau, Gerald Butts, Katie Tilford. Now others are also coming in. He brought in a BlackRock, big old, what's this guy's name? Mark Wiseman, I believe, is a former BlackRock employee who was very, very close to Justin Trudeau as well. And he's under Mark Carney as well. And his agenda was to see Canada's population growth hit 100 million by 2100. It might very well get somewhere close to that number. Of course, we have 75 years to get there, but it's not going to happen the way the globalist agenda is believing it will. And under this circumstance we are right now, where the immigration crisis we're going through is so adamant, we cannot have dissenting voices suggesting new and profound ideas on immigration. We need to bring immigration back to the consensus it was under for the last 3-4 decades. Justin Trudeau destroyed that consensus. He did it for his own political points so that he could get votes, not only because he's bringing more people in, but because he would get a fake sense of economic growth in the economy by just growing the tax base we have. And that's what happened when he brought in these low-skilled temp workers from across the world, most of them on student visas. If they're able to do that, if they're able to try and put up smoke and mirrors for the Canadian population like that, with fake growth, fake this, fake that, why wouldn't they do it again? We shouldn't sit there and be complacent saying we're scared of the Conservatives because Pierre Poilievre says some mean things sometimes. Think about what's going on behind the scenes and how mean those might be, how mean those things might be that are actually affecting your life, not just the surface level comments or images that might appear on the politician's face. Liberals are great backroom dealers. They hate going to the public, just like they do in their caucus. They didn't want anyone to know that Justin Trudeau was a failing politician. They kept everything to the chest until the last moment that they could just be able to, hold on to Justin Trudeau by a string. They held on to it. He should have been gone many years ago. He should have been gone in 2021 when he failed to secure his majority government. He should have been gone then. The Liberals are arrogant. They don't want to let go of their accomplishments, their supposed accomplishments, and their supposed ideologies. That's what it is. That's what the truth is. You want to vote Liberal again? Go ahead. Because they'll get this more of the same, and you'll end up crying again after 4 more years. If you're a conservative, get your family out, get your friends out to vote. To vote in numbers and droves so that you might see that this country doesn't fall again to the same irresponsible hands. Thank you very much for watching, and have a wonderful day.